Hello, and thank you for tuning in to today's 2024 U.S. Open preview. Before we get started with the show, I'd like to ask that you please stick around until the end. We got some great content coming. We're going to tell you who's going to win the tournament. We're going to tell you who's not going to win, and then we're going to tell you exactly who's going to finish last. In addition, we'd like to thank our guest, Parker Houston. Please go follow him at Parker Plays Golf on his YouTube channel. And then we'd like to thank all of our sponsors, specifically Sunday Swagger. Got a couple others. Please check everything out in the description. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and drop a comment. Let us know who you think's going to win this week. And we're live. Here we are for the this year's 2024 U.S. Open preview. And before we get into it, I want to point out that I have a golf cart on my shirt just for all the people that refuse to use golf carts. Shout out to you people. I like to use carts. So there it is. Just for all of you out there, I ride. Yeah. So welcome to the preview. We're going to go over several things. Stick around until the end. We're going to tell you who's going to win. We're going to tell you who's not going to win. And we're going to tell you 100% who's going to finish last with pure 100% accuracy like we always do. So let's get into it. Everybody, this is Parker. You probably know him by now. Tell them where to find you.
What up, y'all? Parker Plays Golf on YouTube, Houston No Prob on Twitter and Instagram.
Yeah, and Parker's getting really close to 1,000 subscribers on YouTube. So it'll be linked in the description, but you should definitely go subscribe as soon as you finish watching this. And we tell you who's going to finish last. So
yeah, do that.
There we go. So to get started, we got the U.S. Open. It is the third major of the year now. And let's just talk a little bit about where do you rank it amongst the other majors? What do you like about the venue? Where does it rank versus some of the other ones? What are your thoughts kind of going into the week, and what do you like about it?
Well, I mean, you got to go. For me, Masters has always been my personal number one. Same course every year. You know the course, and I'm probably putting the Open at third. We'll get into your take here in a minute, but third for me behind the British. It goes to a lot of great venues. That's its strong suit is its quality of venue, but the way it's run and some of the qualifying process, I'm not a huge fan of.
Okay. Well, let's get into a little bit of the specifics with the qualifying process. What don't you like about it?
That Joaquin Niemann's like a top 20 player in the world, and he's not even freaking here. And it's got a lot of, too many guys that you never heard of are going to get in. It's too many long shots that it's not the deepest field in golf. I mean, I don't know what is anymore. The Players doesn't have the top guys, and the PGA's got all the club pros, and this has all the qualifiers. So not sure what the deepest field in golf is, but it ain't the U.S. Open.
Yeah. I mean, it's got to be the PGA, I think. I know they got like 20 club pros, but at least those guys are pros. And like you said, the U.S. Open, man, I've been preached to about this for like about a week now because that's when I started, revealing my U.S. Open takes to the world. Actually, like the whole major season, I've been kind of teasing it. But
yeah,
I just think, man, there are a lot of players. I don't understand what makes your championship good to like make it hard for the best players to qualify, or some of the best players. Like they make it difficult for players who can win to qualify, but they don't make it difficult for players who can't win to qualify. It's like you go out there, you play 36. Like I thought championship golf was 72 holes, but you're going to play 36 to qualify. Don't get me started. Don't get me started.
It means like it's not great. One day, I mean, some random guy, some random scrub can get hot and get in, and he has no chance. He really has no chance to make the cut either.
So I have a couple of. Did you go like in depth into like the players who were in the field this week?
Like the qualifiers?
No. Just like, did you look at like a lot of the names and like kind of go through who you recognize, who you don't? Because I did.
Yeah.
So there's a couple of players that I wonder how they got there.
All right, who's
Like,
that?
I don't really want to. Yeah, I'm gonna throw him under the bus. Like,
Me as
let's just
well.
be honest. Matt Kuchar, what's he doing there? The course is like 7,600 yards. He
That,
flies at 260.
that's surprising that he's in. He had to have been a qualifier, huh?
I mean, he's got a great short game. He's been a top tier player before, but like, when's the last time he won? What's he done in
Long
the
time.
last 4 or 5 years?
He hasn't been relevant in almost 10 years, I
And
think.
what local par 3 course did they let him qualify at? I mean,
Good point.
okay, Webb Simpson. How did he get in?
He bribed the USGA the same way he's been doing the PGA Tour. I think that's the only way. Got a special invite, I guess. I mean, or
I mean,
somebody a lot
you see what I'm
harder.
saying? Like, there's players who, like, there's a lot of trash talk about like Joaquin Neiman, Taylor Gooch, guys like that. But these are guys who've won professional golf tournaments in like the last 4 or 5 years. Like, when did
Yeah,
those guys, like, you know what I mean?
more than that for Webb. Probably, I think he won the Players like 18,
Yeah, it's
6
been a
years.
while.
Yeah.
It's been a while. Yeah. I, I don't know. What about Steve Stricker?
He's,
I'm just
he's
kidding.
the.
He's not in. He's
I
not
was
in.
thinking maybe he was like the U.S. Senior Open champ and he got in, but
But dude, I saw a couple of names. Hold on, let me see. There were a couple more. No, I can shout him out. He's not one of my picks. So there's guys like, do you remember like growing up watching the European tour, like around the time we were in college, like Robert Rock?
hmm
He's in the field. Like, I don't know how, but he's in the field.
They have a qualifier over in Europe, so he had to have got one of those
Well,
spots.
my biggest memory of Robert Rock is that he never wore a hat.
The hair.
So 90 something degrees in Pinehurst, like, do you think the man's head is going to burn, or do you think it's going to burn?
Yeah, that's going to be a little rough. It's supposed to be hot.
I mean, his head might burn so bad he's going to lose his hair after. He'd be looking like
He
me.
might be our pick for like a WD.
WD lost hair. Okay. But I mean, this is a serious show. We should all take this seriously. Um okay. So US Open. I don't think anybody likes the qualifying. I think that okay. Like, I think that the USGA, and I've gotten I've gotten a lot of flack for saying that you don't like the US Open, you're not patriotic. First of all, I like the US Open. The US Open is it's the worst major, but is the fourth best golf tournament every year. Like, no question.
Yeah.
Like, you can't rank it worse than fourth. So let's just put that in perspective. And second of all, I mean, is it patriotic just to watch your nation's championship, start to decline and not say anything about it? Because is that what you want from me, people? I mean, I don't think so. I mean, like,
I
I think
feel
it's
you.
patriotic to call them out. Like, hey, this used to be my favorite tournament 15, 20 years ago, growing up watching. You got Tiger at Pebble, Tiger at Torrey. You got Michael Campbell winning at Pinehurst, but everybody in like the final 8 groups all shot 80. It was awesome. And I mean, I think it's patriotic to call them out. Like, it's time that we change this championship a little bit. We can't have another LACC on a not a great golf course with no fans.
No
Like,
fans, yeah.
yeah,
Well,
COVID's
you're
over.
not being
We can have
complacent.
fans.
You want improvement. I hear you. I mean, yeah, it could be better.
Yeah, I just want it to be better. Make the U.S. Open better again. Like, maybe the USGA should elect me. I mean, they don't want to do that, but I'd do it for $5 a
Then you'd
year.
have to deal with Mike Davis all the time. He's not there. He's not the head guy anymore, is he?
No, he used to be like the head setup guy. He's not anymore.
He's not anymore. Never
But no, he'd be exactly where they put him before I got to him. I'll tell you that. But Yeah, man. So I just the U.S. Open. I think that it's kind of lost its identity. Like they try to make the tournament inclusive. They try to go to new places, which great. I kind of congratulate them, but it's like if you're gonna go to a new place and your whole entire your brand is that you are the most difficult golf tournament to qualify for. You're the most difficult golf tournament to win, and if you're not the most difficult golf tournament to win anymore because guys are just shooting lights out left and right and they're playing on, mangled greens at some of these courses and they're cutting the rough it was Aaron Hills where Kevin Na complained. It's like
It
are we really
was.
going to listen to Kevin Na complaining anyway? Like I'm sure he's always complaining about it. He just seems like that type of guy. Shout out Kevin Na not in the field this week. Just kidding. I didn't check. I have no idea.
I highly doubt he's in.
Yeah, I don't. I think that I think that part of the U.S. Open qualification process should be how far do you hit your driver. Similar to how similar to how when you go to a theme park when you're a little kid and you have to ride the roller coaster, like you have to be a certain height. I think they should impose that test upon some of the shorter hitters in the field.
Like 290 minimum, or it just won't be fun to watch if someone's poofing it out there 270 and have another 250 into the par four. A lot of par fours out there 520. He's gonna be hitting the lumber into every one of them. I mean,
okay, so let's talk about the course. This course is like I went through the hole by hole, the USGA thing, the Golf Digest thing, where they show every hole and they kind of talk about them for a little bit.
Right.
I don't really know what this course is playing on paper exactly. And, they can move the tees around throughout the week. I'm sure they will on several holes. 3 will probably be drivable at some point, whatever. But there are a lot of long par fours. And the short ones aren't necessarily that easy either. Like 3's not an easy hole. There's the short one up the hill on the back. I don't remember off the top of my head.
13,
but
I think.
Yeah, it's like 13, 14, something like that. Very difficult golf hole. Insane false front, like Tot Hill looking false front.
Yep.
So I just think that there is a lot of length on this golf course. I mean, even 18's one of the par fours that's under 500 yards and it plays like 20 uphill from tee to green. So, I mean, it's going to be playing, 480 to 500. It's a long golf course, man. It's long. There's a 250 par 3. It's not a normal 250 par 3. It's like if we were hitting wedge into that green, we'd miss it all day. And they're playing at 250.
Yeah, I think it's like 7,500, but same length as 14 from what I understand. But you got to think how many more guys now are hitting at 320 than in 2014. I don't know if it's going to play that crazy long. Yeah, sure, a couple par 3s are real long, but for Rory and Ludwig and the big bombers, 75's not that crazy. They've played, I think Aaron Hills was 78 or 79, so there's probably going to be a few holes that they dial back. A lot of holes pinch in at like 300, 320. So, 75, it's not that crazy of a length for majors anymore, I don't think.
No, it is a par 70, and these are some of the most tricked up greens they'll probably play. Not just the greens, but the areas around the greens too. There's 100%. A lot of problems you can run into. I mean, how many times do you think, and they may not show it on TV because they don't show any bad golf shots. It's kind of ridiculous. But how many times do you think that we'll see someone either putt the ball and it comes down like right back down to their feet from off the green, or either that or just like putt it off the other side of the green and just like ping pong it?
Oh, countless. I mean, especially if they showed them all, I mean, it's gonna be a lot. The greens are insane. Number 8's the one that comes to mind. The most craziest turtleback green. Effectively, that one is specifically, it probably plays like 10 by 10. I mean, it's 30 by 20, but the landing area and where you can hold it is 10 by 10. And I'm sure y'all have seen the forecast. It's supposed to be no chance of rain and like 90 every day. It's shaping up to be nice,
Eh,
spurting fast, brown. It's the forecast you like to see.
It's going to be summertime Pinehurst for sure. I do think I think we're definitely going to get some of those baked out conditions that you like to see in a U.S. Open. The only thing that's going to be a little bit different with this course, there's some runoffs around the green that you don't really have as much at like an Oakmont or a Wingfoot or something like that. And I really do like that. I like when guys miss greens. You're not just chipping from
Stop right
three
off
feet
the
off in the
edge.
rough.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
I just think that's kind of weird. I think it's kind of, I, I, I don't know if it, you know, the architecture nerds are the architecture nerds. I have a lot of beef with them, but I think they're right about that.
They are.
You
Yeah,
know, I think if you're missing greens and you're missing them wildly, I think that they should be wildly penalized. And I think you're going to see that a lot this week.
yeah.
So, I mean, those are kind of my thoughts about the course. Do you have a certain type of player that you think it's going to favor? Because I definitely have a picture of someone in my mind that I think there's a type of player that this is going to be a good golf course for them.
In my opinion, it kind of suits well for two different types of player. The pure ball striker, the iron guy that's going to just hit the center of the greens, a la Scotty Scheffler. Just ball strike the heck out of the course. Doesn't have to chip, doesn't have to scramble that much.
I mean, what
That's the
course isn't good for Scotty, though?
that's true, but the other pure ball strikers think that this course suits them really well. And then the magicians around the green, the Cam Smiths and Patrick Reed. I don't think Patrick Reed's in this, but the Cam Smith and just the guys that got the magic with the wedge there, and then I guess the guys that putt it well, that long lag putters as well. A lot of the guys I think are going to be pulling flat stick out when they miss the greens.
Yeah, I think when you see Tiger pulling 4-iron in a lot of these practice rounds, I think that's a really good indication. There's going to be a lot of guys in a lot of places. They're probably going to be pulling out, flat sticks whenever they can. And I
That's
mean, it's
what
going to be
Martin
really
Keimer did.
tight. Yeah, it's going to be really tight around those greens. The only thing that I can see really screwing that up is one, if guys get like too far offline and you got a lot more green to work with, they can probably spin it a little bit more and you'll see a couple more
Yeah.
wedges from like the 30 to 60, 80 yard kind of range.
Mm-hmm.
But the other thing that could screw it up, I'm going to tell you right now, and this will change a little bit over the week, but if there's a lot of guys that are out there practicing with lob wedges on, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and they're just like divoting the place up, I think there's going to be some sketchy lies around there. You can get some of those when you got kind of a tight surface normally, and then all it takes is one idiot to go out there and divot the place up a little bit.
That's a good point.
I mean, you certainly got some, I won't call them idiots, but you definitely got some guys who probably may or may not have a chance to win.
Yeah.
And I'm going to go with not.
I didn't even think about that. That's a great point.
Yeah. So I think that's going to be interesting. But yeah, I really do like the tight lies around the greens. I like the greens that they're generally going to penalize bad iron shots. I do think it's perfect for Scotty because he's probably the best player in the world right now at just hitting the middle of the green. I mean, he could Keimer this thing to death, just like.
He's the best ball striker, and he's pretty much, if he's not the best wedge player, he's one of the best wedge players. So it's a lethal combo. Man.
So with some of the early social media stuff that I'm seeing, there's also an interesting thing going on with like around the fairways. So the fairways, one, are a little bit wider than you traditionally get in the US Open.
Yeah.
Two, there's not really like a bunch of super thick grassy rough. There's not fescue left and right, just super thick. It's not like Bethpage.
It's not pitch out rough.
Yeah, you don't have that. What you have is a lot of randomness and lies. And what I've seen with a lot of these shots that we're seeing on social media, the videos, things like that, is that you have some really thick stuff and you have some very unpredictable but could be very bad lies that are just off the fairway. And then if you're missing by like 20, 30 yards, you could have to deal with some trees, but you're almost just in like hard pan kind of sand. And there's not as much grass. You don't have to worry about, like, I think there could be balls lost potentially, not very far off the fairway.
What, in the wiregrass, the
Yeah,
low
and some
grass
of the
stuff?
thicker stuff. I mean, they have like some of this stuff is like almost gorse stuff, but it's not that tall or anything like that. But it's 2 feet, 3 feet tall, super thick. If you find your ball in there, you might not be able to play it. So I think there's this weird dynamic of guys who are slightly missing fairways could probably have a really severe penalty, and then guys who are like enormously offline, it's going to be kind of okay.
That's interesting. And I think the gorse there's grown up a lot since 14 because it was only like 2, 3 years old at that point. It wasn't that thick. There were small little bushes. So that's
Yeah,
interesting.
and they had just restored it, and I think they were coming off of like a pretty dry like winter and spring months, so there wasn't a
Hmm.
lot of rain. A lot of that stuff hadn't grown at all.
Yeah.
And that was one of the things, honestly, that kind of drove me crazy watching on Sunday. Is you got a dude with a 5, 6, 7, 8 shot lead, and he misses the fairway, and he's 3 feet away from a terrible lie, and he all of a sudden just ends up in the sand, and it's an easy par.
Perfect sandy lie. Yeah.
Yeah. So I just don't think missing the fairways is going to be that penal this week, but I do think that there's going to be some shots that are probably penalized what you would say would be unfairly. They don't miss by a lot. You can't really get it up and around the green the same way you normally would be able to from 10 feet off the fairway.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, honestly, I do think the course is still kind of long, and I do think there's a huge advantage to being able to hit wedges, 9 irons. I mean, if you look at Bryson, man, he's going to hit, if he hits at 340, 160, that's driver wedge.
There's not a lot of holes for him that aren't driver wedge.
And he can do it out there on and not just, not just Bryson, but you got your longer hitters, your Rorys, your Xander's, one of those guys that gets it out there now. A lot of guys like that. I mean, they're going to have a huge advantage because going into those greens with a wedge from 150 versus like 6, 7, 8 iron from Colin Morikawa range, it's a huge advantage. And then, I mean, Bryson misses a fairway. He's going to miss it by 20, 30 yards sometimes, and Colin's going to be 5 feet off of it. He could get a terrible lie.
That's a good point. Another good point.
So I do think length is going to be, even though not necessarily, I don't think that it's maybe the most obvious, but I do think that length's going to be rewarded a good bit this week.
Yeah, it should be a good mixture. I think anyone can contend because it's firm. The fairway should be firm and fast and rolling. So a shorter guy, a Cam Smith, can roll it out there and still get around on this course. And then obviously what you just mentioned, the Bombers they have a big advantage most courses, but it should be a good mixture. No one's out of it. I mean, a wet, sloppy course like Valhalla, there the short hitter just had no chance. I mean, they were all Bombers. No chance. And there was no penalty for big miss or for little miss or big miss there. There was little to no chance you could even make a double at Valhalla.
Yeah, and missing some of those greens, it was kind of like what we talked about with the rough. It's high enough, it's going to stop balls. You don't really have runoffs.
There's no runoffs. Yeah,
they're pulling out a 60 out of the rough, and they're just hitting a high soft one. I mean, you can misread the lie there, but for players of their caliber, those just aren't hard shots.
No, they really aren't.
And you mentioned a guy. We can get into some of the players we like. You mentioned one of the guys that I really like, and you kind of made the other point that I was going to make, which is that I think some of the guys, and I think particularly of Cam Smith when I think about this, but it applies to other guys too. But the cool thing about Cam, and the reason why he probably has an advantage over some of those other guys, is because his misses are off the planet, but he doesn't really hit it that far. He's a 173, 74, 75 ball speed guy, and he will hit 30-yard duck hooks that he's having some penalty shots in some of these live events, and that's part of the things that's holding him back. Now, I know Houston, he had a bad Sunday. We can talk about that, but I really do like his game. I think the longer hitters are probably going to hit more greens out there, but I do think a guy who's a magician like him and has the touch around the greens, I think he can thrive out there. He's going to have a lot of shorter par putts than a lot of other guys, and he's probably going to make a lot of 10, 12 footers where other guys aren't just because he's that good of a putter.
Yeah, and there's no chance he gets any penalty strokes here. They have one hazard on the course, and I don't think OB is really in play at all. Maybe a hard two, but yeah, I think he's got a shot. His major record's been sneaky good the last few years since that British Open win. I think he's made every cut and quite a few top tens. So I'm kind of on Cam this week.
Yeah, he's probably the one player out of the shorter hitters that I really, really like. I also really like Colin this week, but maybe not necessarily to win. But I mean, you know how Cam is, man. He can kind of get on he is a really good ball striker. He hits a lot of solid iron shots. It's just that he struggles to put himself in position in the fairway as much as some other players. Yeah. And obviously recovers well with the short game. But, when he's playing his best, he is also an elite iron player. So he's a very dangerous guy this week. He makes birdies on a lot of holes where he shouldn't. But he also does tend to make some bigger numbers and play very aggressively. So we'll see how that factors in this week for him, because there's definitely going to be some big numbers around Pinehurst this week, I think.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, Cam's definitely a guy I like. Who else comes to mind that you really like this week?
I'd probably Bryson. I was on Bryson at the PGA. I'm becoming just a huge Bryson guy. He's skyrocketed to my number one. He's my number one guy now. And, absolute bomber and great putter. I think he might need to do kind of the Martin Keimer. I don't think his chipping's quite up to par. That really long wedge.
I was gonna say
that's not that great. So if he pulls out putter or maybe some little bump and runs here, he's been getting a lot of practice with some weird situation on his YouTube channel, playing with kids clubs and 7-irons. So it might sneaky help him out. There's 7-irons and just kind of feel his way around, be creative. I'll be out there on Saturday, and that's who my whole plan is, to just pretty much follow Bryson. So I'm on Bryson this week.
Will you be live tweeting? That's all I want to know.
I can if you want me to, yeah.
Yes, I need it. Can you be Bryson tracker for the day?
Bryson tracker for the day. I don't think he has a tracker, so maybe I start that up.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, we'll get you an email too for it. BrysonTracker@gmail.com. I don't can't be taken unless he does it himself. I mean, I can see that.
He could.
I mean, he's gotten to the point though where he is a really fun player to watch. He gets even on his YouTube channel, and I think it's pretty genuine. The dude just loves to play golf. He really enjoys not even really just, I mean, obviously enjoys competing out there at the events against other pros and stuff like that. But he seems like he just really enjoys competing against par in these challenges that he's playing with ridiculous clubs and all that stuff. He's really become a very likable guy.
The man's an entertainer.
I mean, he really is.
What he did at the PGA was electric. Just fist pumping, chasing after his ball, shouting at his ball. He was fun to watch there. So I'm very excited to see him. I've never seen him in person.
I think that'll be awesome. Watching him hit drivers is going to be something else. I'd love to see that. Yeah. But it's really ironic. The thing with Bryson is that there's more money in golf than there ever has been, especially at the professional level. But even for entertainers and, social media people, all that kind of stuff, whatever. But there is more money in the game of golf at the professional level than there ever has been. And he's basically become what golfers had to be 40, 50 years ago, before there was any kind of money in golf. Like, they would basically play professional events, they try to make as much money as possible, and then they were essentially like traveling circus entertainers between tournaments. They're going out and doing clinics left and right, just hustling to make a couple $100 here and there. And
Clinics
it's
and
like
matches. Yeah.
Bryson is doing that. Like, his part of his practice and part of his preparation is putting himself in these insane situations, playing with crazy clubs, trying to hit stupid golf shots. And I'll tell you what, if he's out there playing matches against YouTube golfers with like the cheapest set of Amazon clubs you can find, and then he goes out there and wins the US Open at one of the most difficult US Open venues in the world, you can bet I'll be buying that set of Amazon clubs here come Monday. I'll guarantee you that.
You got to. We'll have an Amazon match ourselves. I'll buy one too, and the junior set even. Man, that'll be electric.
But yeah, I would be very pumped to see him just contend, because I think it is great for golf to have him around. He's a personality. You know, a lot of the PGA Tour homers still pretend not to like him, but I think they do deep down.
They're just jealous. Did you hear his nickname they gave him out on Live? B.O. DeChambeau. Box Office DeChambeau.
Oh, yeah.
I think that's what Charles Howell gave him that. He's must-see TV.
Yeah.
He really is.
Yeah, he seems like he's really embraced the whole team part of golf, and he's probably a good guy for teammates to be around. Pretty supportive and everything. I do think he's kind of a cool guy. Yeah. So definitely Bryson. I love his chances as well for a lot of the same reasons that you do. I think this could be a good week where he could kind of mask some of those weaknesses. Like his driver, if he gets a little crooked with it, I don't think is going to hurt him that much. And I don't think he's really going to have to worry about wedging it a bunch around the greens. He's just going to be able to pull out the flat stick a lot. So a good bunker player too. So I think that'll be okay if he does have some runoffs. But I really do like his chances. I think he's geared up for this one, and I think he's kind of been looking forward to it, trying to ride some of that PGA momentum, and really looking forward to this one for a couple of weeks.
Absolutely.
So I have a couple other guys that are at the top of my list. Obviously, Scotty. Do we even really need to talk that much about Scotty?
Not really.
So what I want to say about Scotty is that he's not Tiger, but he is doing Tiger-like things. Like we were sitting at Tot Hill on Saturday, and the Memorial was coming on. The leaders were teeing off on Saturday. You know, one, he hits it left off the tee. And he's got, who cares the number? Flags tucked left over some bunkers. And I'm sitting there with my buddy. I'm like, hey, man, he's just going to hit this like 20, 30 feet right of the pin. He's going to two putt for par. I would bet the bank on it. And what's he do? He hits it out there like 20 feet right of the flag. There's no one in golf right now who's just hitting more shots where they're looking than Scotty Scheffler. And I really wish that some of the commentators cared a little bit more about educating golf fans, because it really is awesome to watch. This dude is just hitting it out at the center of greens, taking the right risks, but on a lot of these holes, man, he's just playing it safe, aiming away from flags, making a couple putts here and there, and he's not beating himself.
Yeah, that's all he's doing. He's hitting his targets. He's playing smart golf. Make a putt or two when he can, and birdieing the par fives, and then also he's going to hit a couple really stoned heads. So he's on pretty much an all-time heater, especially if he can snag another major here these last two, and I'm sure he's going to win a couple more regular tour events. So he's looking like an 8, 9, 10 win season maybe.
Yeah, I think there's like 2 6-win. There's 2 guys before this season who have won 6 times on the PGA Tour in like forever. And he would be one if he wins the US Open. But he's only got to win one more event this year, and he's going to be
that'll absolutely happen.
One of those guys. But I think Tiger's done it like, 4 times, something like that.
Frankly. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe even more. But yeah, so I really like his chances, obviously. I'm going to tease a pick here. I could really burn myself with one.
Let's hear
in
it.
just a minute. But yes, I really like his game. I like Xander a lot too. I think it's a good course for him. He's hits it long, hits it straight. Really drove the ball well at the PGA. I was very impressed with. He was hitting it coming out of different windows. He was, hitting some draws, hitting some fades. So it was interesting to me to see a guy kind of work it both ways with the driver in almost a classical sense.
He's gained a lot of speed too. I think he hit like 190 ball speed a couple times, and
Yeah.
2 years ago he was maxing 180. He's now mid 180s consistently. That is moving it, man. He's gained a lot of speed.
There's not a lot of guys that hit 190 frequently in competition.
Mm-mm.
I mean, he was like 4th or 5th, I think, in club head speed at the PGA. I mean, but he's up there with
he's a little guy too.
It was like Bryson, Rory, Xander, Minwoo Lee, Dean Burmester. It's like all those guys were, your top in like the top 8 or something. So he's amongst elite company right now with the
really is.
club head speed, driving distance, drives it accurately. He's a dangerous man at a course like this, I think.
And he's had a great U.S. Open record. I think that was his initial breakthrough. He like top 3 to top 5 at Erin Hills there, and top 10 4 or 5 years in a row in the U.S. Open. This is before he won that PGA. You would have said the U.S. Open probably was the pick for him to get the monkey off the back. He really plays well in Opens.
Yeah, he had the bad Masters Sunday where he hit it in the water, and then he had.
Mm-hmm.
I think he had the lead when he hit it in the water on 16. He had a bad finish there down the stretch, and then was a little bit quiet in majors for a while. But recently, the last couple of years here, he's gotten a little bit hotter, and he's just always a threat to be around the leaderboard in a major. Whether he can close the deal or not, whether he has his A game or not, I think he's probably finished. He's a guy who has so much game that I think he's finished top 10 a lot and not really had this is like B- game, something like that for a lot of these, which is kind of scary.
Pretty safe bet he's going to be in 10 this week.
But yeah, and I think he'll be a pretty popular pick. Other popular picks, let's see, Ludwig I think is probably going to be pretty popular. A lot of people like him. He seems like he's kind of over the knee issues that he was having. So it seems like that's not really an issue. Starting to play some good golf. I could see him contending. I don't really know how I feel about him to win yet. I just don't know yet. Haven't seen a lot of him.
Yeah. I mean, you kind of got to be there before you really pick him to win.
This is a tough one to win.
Yeah. Really is.
Allegedly.
Allegedly.
Yeah, so I like those guys. Who else do you have?
Vic Hovland's been playing well. He's kind of had a resurgence the last few weeks. Came back to his coach and had been in contention the last few weeks. Obviously his short game. He's known for not having a great short game, but Martin Keimer didn't have a great short game. Just putt it. That's all you got to do. Putting's probably going to be more consistent play. A bad putt's worse than a bad chip. So just putt it. Vic Hovland, he bombs it. He's a good iron player.
Great driver.
Yeah.
Solid iron player. Yeah. I mean, his real weakness is going to be probably the thing that's going to be the least important this week, at least that I see going forward. Chipping. So I think for him, it's going to be how many of those like 8 to 12 foot par putts is he going to be able to make this week? Because he's going to have a bunch of them. Everybody's probably going to have a bunch of them. And I don't know. He's a little streaky with the putter. He can putt well, but him putting well for 4 days, I think, is going to be the key to his success this week, probably. Because I trust him to be he'll be there with the ball striking. I mean, he's a great driver, great iron play. He's one of the people who can keep my picks alive for the majors this year. So far, I've picked the right winner to the wrong. I had a tweet like back in April, right before the Masters. I was like, okay, here's my 4 winners for the 4 majors this year. And so far, I think I had Xander winning the British, and I think I had Scotty winning the U.S. Open or something. No, I
And
had
you
Scotty
did.
winning. I had Scotty winning the PGA, and I think I had Victor win. It doesn't matter, but like so far, I've picked two of the
You're
right
two for
guys to win the
two,
wrong
kind of.
majors.
Right.
If you
And
look at it
you
that way,
had
I picked the
Victor.
right winners. I just picked them to win the wrong tournaments.
eh, Kind of a win. So you
Yeah,
had Victor in another one.
you best believe it's going to be. Yeah, I'm going to need Waco to win the British since he's not in the field this week. But it could come down to the five. I can totally see Victor winning this week. He definitely has the game for it. I think it's a good course for him. I think it's a really good course fit. Man, I had Rahm on my list of guys that I kind of like. I think driving's going to be important. It's not so much his game. I think he can show up and win almost out of the blue, but he's got some health issues, I think.
Yeah, apparently he's not even touching going on site till like Wednesday. He took today off, Monday's today, and I think tomorrow, Tuesday, he's taken off, and obviously withdrew last weekend. So that's already 4 or 5 days without swinging a club. I mean, maybe he's doing some drills in his hotel, but what does he have, like a cut that turned into an infection? Is that what it
Yeah,
is?
so he has an infection. So my biggest concern with him is that he's going to have kind of low energy levels, probably be on some antibiotics, probably really be trying to keep some fluid in him. It's going to be hot. I just don't think this is going to be the week for him.
Yeah, and unfortunately, a poor start in the majors this year, so he might be lacking a little confidence. I think he's trying too hard in the majors. That's part of his problem.
I can see that. He's just a ridiculous competitor, man. I wouldn't
Yeah,
really put anything past him, and I think there probably is a lot to him trying a little too hard in the majors this year. But this isn't the week for me.
me neither.
And I think, who else do we like?
What do you think about Rory this week?
He's on my list of guys who I'm not picking. Theoretically, good course for him though.
Why don't you like Rory this week?
Because I don't like Rory until he wins something that matters. He's got to win a major. If he wins a major, I'll believe he can win more, but I will not believe he can win more majors until I see it.
No,
and like, I don't really have anything against Rory. I really like his game. It's just that
he's not a major. He's not a killer anymore in the majors. He can't.
He almost has to learn how to win them again, and I think that's a hard thing to do at his age with some of the scar tissue he has. It's just too much for me.
He's got a lot going on with the divorce and the rumors with Amanda there. I'm sure you heard of those.
Yeah,
so he's got a lot in his head right now.
I truly believe that Rory is a man with pure intentions. I think he wants what's best for golf, and I think that I've heard a lot of report. Like, he seems to be a really, really nice guy. And I was kind of hoping that through this whole live thing and through him kind of being screwed a little bit by the tour and being slighted, thinking he was involved and kind of in a position to make some decisions and then not being informed of the whole, agreement announcement and everything. I was kind of just hoping that he was going to find his like Mamba and he was just going to kind of say a few to a lot of these people out there. And it just hasn't happened, man. I was really hoping that he was going to kind of become a killer, though. I wanted to see it.
I used to be big on the Rory, but I don't see it happening anymore. I don't think he's got that dog in him anymore. He shows up the week before, and he'd probably win next week at the Travelers, but he's not. I don't think he's going to be in contention this week.
He's going to
like T13.
Yeah, I think he's going to like T35 and probably win next week. I think you're right.
I think he's absolutely winning next week.
Yeah, the guy, somebody who's totally not concerned about winning next week, who I think is probably due a good major performance.
Who's that?
Brooks.
Yeah.
necessarily love him to win because he's struggled to show up with his best game to some of these majors. He was around at the PGA for a while, got a bad mud ball, and his chances kind of went down. I do think that he plays a lot better on more difficult golf courses. I think this can be that this week, but
Depends on
no,
what the
I can talk
USGA
myself into Brooks here.
depends
I think
on
it's
what
going to be
the
about the putter for him, though.
yeah I think this was his breakout major performance. This got him going. He had like a T3 or T4. Nobody ever heard of the guy in 2014. So he's got good course history, and I do think the course could play tough, but just kind of depends on what how much water the USGA puts on it at this point.
I think that he can benefit from having things simplified a little bit for him. Like he likes to keep it simple. If you listen to his coach Claude Harmon talk a lot about him, I mean they work on alignment and they work on ball position. They don't really work a lot on his golf swing, any positions, anything like that.
Yeah.
You know, they work on same thing with his putting. It's a lot of alignment, ball position, that type of stuff. So I do think he's a guy who could benefit from like, all right, I missed a green. Let's just grab the putter this week. You don't have to worry about, am I going to hit this wedge? What's the lie going to be? It's like, hey man, just grab the putter, get it as close as you can, make the next one.
I think there's gonna be a lot of guys doing that. They saw what Mark Martin did there, and that's make it simple. It makes it simple. You don't have to think about it, and you don't have to discuss it, and just grab the putter and put it up there.
And it's like, it may be a tough thing to do. It does require a lot of touch, but at the same time, some of these shots are so delicate that if you miss them, you know, if you hit them a groove low or you drop kick it just a touch, it's not going to have the spin to go where it needs to go and stop the way it needs to. And you're going to have 20, 30 feet. Like that's just when they tuck some of these pins and it gets like that, you could see some serious carnage around there. I don't know that you will. I'm not going to guarantee it. But this could be one of those where you have like a really, really high scoring average one day. It's 76, 77. Something gets away from the USGA. Like, you know, they're going to screw something up. So
it's going to be interesting to see what happens. Wyndham already said it's borderline today, Monday. So I think when a player comes out and says something like that, they're just going to drown it in water the next couple nights, next couple
what
days.
They've done recently.
That's what they do.
I saw a tweet about that
earlier. They don't want the players mad at them. The players are whiny. You know, they get what they want. So
it's so soft though. It's like
soft. It is.
This is your brand. Just tell the players, hey man, go for it. Go cry about it.
Suck it up. It's happened before. Oakmont like +6, +7 win. I would love to see an over par score win. I mean, carnage is fun to watch. You get tired of a bunch of birdie fest 20, 25 under. I'd rather watch them struggle because it doesn't happen that often.
I'd love to see some brutal pins this week.
Yeah,
I think that's going to be the defense on this golf course. Yeah, there's just not a whole lot of penalty to missing a lot of these fairways. You can get randomly boned with a couple of lies, I think, but it's not going to be a consistent thing where if you miss, you know, 8, 9 fairways, you're basically going to be playing out of fairway bunkers for, you know, 7 or 8 of them.
Pretty much, yeah. It's not pitch out.
Or like hard pan sand. It's like those are totally lies. For the most part, I think most of these guys are going to have lies that they can play off of.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
and,
it brings in more interest. It's not a lot of fun watching pitch out and then hit and then wedge on the next. They're going to make 70% of the time make bogey. So this brings in a more unpredictable. You can birdie or you can sail a green. You can make double. It's
I don't know. I will say if they had a nice cut of Bermuda rough somewhere and guys could catch some random flyers out there, I think that would make things very interesting because balls would be bouncing all over. I mean, you can't spin the ball at all with Bermuda rough. Doesn't matter what club you're hitting. So that could be interesting. But we won't get that this week.
None of that.
Unfortunately. It would be really cool though.
Yeah.
But so definitely Definitely like Brooks. We talked about Xander. What do you think about Tommy?
Fleetwood,
Yeah.
not a whole lot. I don't think. I don't ever remember
Okay.
him contending in the majors until you do it. Yeah, I guess
he
he
has a
wasn't. He
couple.
was at Shinnecock. I guess
He has a couple times.
uh,
He was. I think he
he
played
was.
decent at Augusta, didn't he? This year.
He might have. I don't remember that. I remember he finished second at Shinnecock, but I
I
don't
mean, he
know. He
played
hasn't even
okay.
never won a PGA Tour event, so I
That's
don't.
true.
I don't think he's gonna be in contention now.
I mean, this would be a PGA Tour event, though.
The PGA Tour wishes, yeah, they claim it on their schedule, say
I mean,
it's a
it
PGA
would
Tour
be a
event
PGA Tour win, at least on Wikipedia.
on Wikipedia.
He would
Yeah.
have the same number of PGA Tour wins as Brandel Chambly. Just wanted to throw that out there.
Oh man, Brando, he's a trip.
You know who I like that people just forget about completely?
Who's that?
Hideki.
Wow, yeah, they do. That's a good call.
Did you know that he is
No one
like
talks
one of
about
the
him.
top guys in strokes gained around the greens on the PGA Tour this year?
I did not know that. No.
So all he's got to have is one good ball striking week, and he's just wedging it like crazy, getting up and down from everywhere. He's just got to. He's a man who I do not feel confident in with the putter for 4 days to hold up on those greens.
Yeah, that's his thing. He's
It's kind of the same thing like Tommy Fleetwood, Tony Finau, Hideki. I put all into the same category. It's like I do not think they can make enough putts. I just don't see it.
Yeah. I'm gonna have
What
a lot
about
of par putts, 10, 12 feet.
So you mentioned Wyndham earlier because he was talking about the course and everything. What do you think about his chances? I mean, he's definitely one of the top guys in the world still, has had 2 very disappointing major performances, had a good stretch of golf earlier this year, but what do you think about him this week?
I'm kind of iffy. I mean, he definitely bombs it and he definitely putts well, which are a good course fit, but he's just struggling a bit recently. So a lot of golf is confidence. If you don't have that confidence, it's tough to gain it back. But so I'm not huge on him this week, but it wouldn't surprise me. I mean, like you said, he had a fantastic start to the year. What do you think?
We'll talk about this with a couple other players who I really want to get to in a second because we're almost through my list of guys that I kind of want to talk about that I like this week. But we're going to get into some of the guys that I don't like this week. And they're all going to have a very common characteristic, which is they probably have the propensity to take out a 60 and just like overthink things and screw things up. And I can totally see him doing that just for some reason. I mean, I don't really know that he'll do that, but I could see him just grabbing a 60 every time he misses these greens. Oh, I did it last year at LACC off these tight lots. He hit some brilliant shots on Sunday off of some of those tight ones at LACC last year. But this is not a course. I don't care how good your touch is. You're going to miss some and you're not going to make the 30-foot pars. But if you can putt them to 10, 12, 15 feet, you got a shot.
Yeah.
But I don't think there's going to be a lot of long putts made just because the greens are so severe.
It's hard to even have long putts on these greens. They play
true.
so effectively small.
Yeah, you're going to be rolling them off the other side. About 30, 40. You can probably have 50 feet on a couple holes, but that's going to be about the longest putt you have.
Mm-hmm.
And when you do have it, it's going to be severe. Keeping the ball below the hole and missing in the right spots, a Scotty Scheffler trait of all Scotty Scheffler traits, is going to be key this week.
Yeah, you absolutely can't go long. I mean, you're instant bogey, maybe double. If pretty much every hole, if you go over the greens, be a lot of guys coming up mid green, short of the green, and you just can't go long. You're boned.
So 2 more guys I want to talk about. I'm just going to throw this out there. I really like Dean Burmester this week. He's still playing great golf. Drives it great. I think he's like 3rd on live in driving distance right now. Hits a lot of good irons. And definitely his weakness is his short game. Yeah. And he is not going to have to worry about it. He's going to be grabbing a putter off every green this week. It's going to be easy for him. well, it's not going to be easy for anybody. I hope, allegedly, but allegedly this is going to be the toughest tournament to win this week. But we'll see.
We'll
It didn't
see.
seem very tough for Martin Comrie. He won by like 8. So anyway, I really like Dean. A lot of people probably won't talk about him, so I wanted to talk about him. For those of you who don't watch Live, I'm going to make you listen to this for a second. Dean Burmester is one of the best drivers of the golf ball in the world right now. Hands down, no question about it. He's one of the hotter players in the world, so don't be surprised if he's on another major leaderboard and he at least plays well enough to get invited back next year.
I like that. He's probably one of like 3 guys that have improved since he went to Live. So I kind of feel you. I like that.
Yeah, it's like Dean, Phil, and who else? Lee Westwood. They've all improved a lot.
Yeah. No,
No.
for real, the only ones that have, I think, was Gooch, Neiman, and Dean.
Don't forget
Got better.
Bryson.
Bryson, I guess Bryson. Bryson, I think he end of his PJ Tour, start of Live, he just had a lot of injury problems. And,
Yeah,
and
that was it for
his
him.
thing.
His
His hand.
he and Brooks probably left for a lot of the same reasons. Honestly, it was a lot of injury stuff.
Yep.
Last guy who I want to talk about. I think he has the game for this course. I think it could be his time. I like Max Homa this week.
Okay.
I like him a lot.
Okay.
I think he's kind of been gearing up for this one. I think it suits him. I think as long as he doesn't overthink this thing, I think he's going to be okay. He hits it out there, pretty straight drive of the golf ball, and he's just consistently one of the better iron players in golf right now.
Yeah, he's rounded a corner in the majors the last like year and a half for forever. He didn't know if he was gonna, even get a top 10, but I think he's rattling off some top 10s and confidence. He's again, I like that.
To me, he's a longer version of Colin Morikawa, except a much better putter.
Yeah, Colin can't putt.
Yeah, and I think that could be the downfall for Colin this week. I kind of trust that Colin's going to play pretty well and I could see him being like a 36-hole leader that struggles to finish top 10 or something like that, because I just think with his putter on these greens for 4 days and his putter around these greens for 4 days is going to be interesting. But he seems to like be a little bit yippy with the short game, and it could play to his strengths. He's been grabbing putter, and like I think he hit I don't know if he hit like a bump and run driver or a 3-wood that, like, there was a clip that he hit one of those, not this week, but it was a couple weeks. It may have been like Zurich or something like that. But I was like, what in the world is this when I saw it? But let's get into the fun part of the show. Let's talk about the guys we don't like. I do not like your guy this week.
Who's that?
Tiger.
Oh man, come on now.
I don't like him at all.
No.
No.
Why not? Why? Just too hot, or
it's gonna be too hot.
So he's gonna be
man.
wearing like 7 shirts. He's gonna have a shirt for each hole. Like he's gonna go through 18 shirts, I think.
Do you think they'll be numbered?
He's gonna have a shirt.
No. You know what needs to happen? The Tiger needs to have a stripe for whatever hole it is in the logo.
That's great.
I mean, he seems like a man who's overthinking it. Like, why is he chipping with the 4-iron? Just grab the putter. No,
it could shoot off the face so fast. Trying to hit like a 4 or 5-iron bump and run. Yeah, that don't make a lot of sense to me either.
In all honesty, though, the take to me is the exact same that it's going to be until further notice, which is that I don't see how he can play enough golf and he can practice to be sharp enough to compete in, like, he's just going out cold after hitting a bunch of balls and playing at home.
I mean that's
and just going into majors.
That's not it for me. I think he can still hit the shots. It's just his body. He can't. He can contend in 18 or 36, I think, but come the weekend, he's shot. He's just spent. He's spent all his energy. And not to mention it's gonna be 95 and humid. So you're
See,
probably right, but I'd hate
I
to admit it. But
think
you're probably
so. I think that over the past probably year or two, ever since the car accident, it was like, okay, we'll have to wait and see. We'll see. Can he? I was like, if he catches lightning in a bottle, or he, like, everything goes right, the stars align, maybe he can win. And at this point, I kind of think that the ceiling for him may not be winning; it may be just contending. I'm kind of
yeah.
starting to believe that.
I'm starting to think the same thing. I hate to say it, but yeah, it's
But
kind of
it's
sad.
also like, if Tom Watson can do it when he's 60, you got to kind of believe the Tigers got one good week. And if he can somehow stay healthy enough to, like, continue to play and to
But
practice
that's the
enough to
thing.
get
Tom
out there.
Watson never had health problems though.
Yeah, that's true.
So so
All right.
Tiger's body is he's 48 or 9, whatever he is, but that's he's living in like a 65-year-old's body.
Yeah. Yeah, that's
So
you got that right. So
yeah.
that's Tiger. I had to shout out. We didn't really talk about him on the last show. But what do you think would be a good finish for him, real fast?
I think I think I just mentioned I think he could be like T10 after 2 rounds and a lot of hypes there for the weekend, but top 25 is kind of a good finish, I think.
So you're saying that he can play 36 holes well enough to qualify for the
Yeah,
weekend?
yeah, yeah.
I mean, that's what this tournament's about. It's about 36 hole stretches. Can you qualify for the tournament? Can you qualify for the week? I think I think anything like 30th or better is probably a good finish for him.
Yeah.
Um,
Who do you think you think Phil has a better chance than Tiger?
Phil was on my list of guys where I was just like, do I want to throw his name out there just because something crazy could happen because it's a U.S. Open and you never know? And then I was just like, I mean, he's another guy who's got all the shots. He just definitely seems
He's
to.
got the short game.
He seems to have no consistency, but all the shots.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think it's a good week for either one of those guys if they make the cut, and I'd love to see either one of them at the top of the leaderboard on, like, after Thursday. I think it would be great for the tournament.
That would be electric.
I really do, and I think it would kind of take some heat off the USGA if they screw something up. It's like, oh, hey, we got Tiger at the top of the leaderboard. We got Phil at the top of the leaderboard. I mean, God, what if they had both of them?
Dream scenario for them.
Yeah. Anyway, so we've talked about a lot of the players that we like. We've talked about some of the players that we just have to talk about. Let's get into my favorite. Let's talk about the boys club.
Oh man.
Let's start with Ricky. Okay, no shot. Let's move on.
Is he in this?
Yeah.
He's in. How did he get in? Like made the tour championship last year, I guess. He won
I think Zach Johnson picked him. I don't know.
Touche.
I have no idea. I really don't know.
I don't either. Are you sure? I'm looking at the field here. Let's make sure
he was playing a practice round on. He missed the cut at Memorial, so he was playing a practice round with JT or Jordan on Sunday. Jordan, I think.
All right. Yeah, he's in.
So were they playing were they playing chess when everyone else was playing checkers? They declined their weekend money from Memorial to go get an extra practice at Pinehurst.
That's probably what they're trying to convince themselves they're doing. Yeah.
I remember it was Jordan and it was Ricky, and there was a clip of them playing a practice round, and I think I commented like, I didn't know you had to practice to miss the cut or something. Just a lot of people off. But
I like it.
I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah.
JT next, no chance.
No.
I don't think his game's in a good spot.
No.
I mean, otherwise it would be kind of a good course for him, though. He's a good ball striker.
Yeah, a good short game. So,
but I think like those 10, 12, 15-foot par putts, Okay. He could be a guy who plays ping pong. Watch out for it. His touch with the putter, his like, if you ever listen to Hank Haney, he just grills JT because his speed with the putter is just not what it is for a lot of the best players in the world. And like once I heard him say that, I was like, okay, I have to watch for this. Is he really right about this? And now I can't unsee it. I'm serious. You should watch for it if they show him at all. Don't be surprised if you don't see anything and he's like 8 over through the first 14 holes and you saw that he played ping pong and made an 8 on a par 4.
Have a temper tantrum. He's a little whiny baby, I think.
Yeah. What about Jordan?
No, not feeling it.
Jordan, no shot. That's gonna be my name for him.
Not feeling it. He peaked when he was 21. I mean, the guy, the media loves him, but
so I think I did a poll the other. I don't remember, but I had a question for you.
All right.
Is Jordan closer to retire? Is he closer to being Smiley Kaufman, or is he closer to winning another major?
Oh, definitely Smiley. Yeah.
Hey, the boys club, the vacation, the guys from those vacation photos, they could all be in the booth here real soon together.
They could. I mean,
Smiley's there. I'm sure he's telling Ricky how nice it is.
Yeah.
I mean, Ricky had a nice year last year, but appears to have turned the wrong corner here coming into 2024.
The boys club is struggling hardcore.
Yeah. Let's see. Who don't I have one last one. Cameron Young, shout out, has had some decent major performances and stuff like that this year, but I just have a bad feeling about him this week. Nothing against him. I have a bad feeling. So I'm just going to throw his name out there. I don't like him this week.
Okay. I hear you.
And then I'm very interested, before we get into the favorite part of the show and we tell everybody who's going to win, who's not going to win, and who's going to finish dead last, I want to give you a couple things to watch.
All right.
So there's going to be like 4 or 5 pretty well-known guys. Before I get into this, I do want to shout out Brian Harmon. He's like a random player who probably could randomly contend major winner. But anyway, there's probably like 4 or 5 guys at least in the field who have broomsticks. You know, you got Zalatoris, you got Adam Scott, and I'm sure there's a couple others somewhere. But I would love to see one of them just putt from everywhere. I think it would be funny. I mean, just like the mechanics of it and like I just think it would be hilarious. I hope Zalatoris putts from everywhere. I hope he
50 yards out. That would be fun.
Yeah, just like what we were doing, screwing around when we played Sweetens Cove. Just, hey, I got 80 yards left. Let me see if I can putt this. I want to see one of those guys do that.
It'd be fun to watch.
I was looking up and down the list to see if there was someone who was like had a really sketchy short game or was like semi yippy around the greens and was just like possibly going to putt all of those 40 to 50 yard wedge shots. I couldn't really find anybody. You know. Yeah, unfortunately, people like me who had the chipping yips playing like Sweetens Cove, they won't put people like me in the U.S. Open. Go figure.
Yeah, unfortunately,
they'll let anybody in there, but they won't let me in there. It would be very entertaining, though. Put me in a featured group.
Let me shoot 95 on this course. That would be fun to watch.
I will not. I promise. I will be respectful, and I will not hold the course up. Just invite me. It'll sell, I promise.
I mean, I've thought that for a while. Put one random average, golfer out there and see what the hell he shoots. And
but you know how the USGA kind of likes to be like tongue in cheek with all their pairings and everything. Just pair me with JT and Jordan, and we'll have fun.
I'm in. I'd watch.
I think a lot of people would.
Absolutely.
Unfortunately, I think that they would like they would probably boycott the pairing. Like, I don't want to play in this
Who the
one.
hell is this guy?
But yeah, so that covers a couple of things to watch. I hope there's some broomsticks putting from well off the greens this week. I think it'll be awesome. But okay, I'll let you go first. Let's start with your pick not to win. Who do you got?
Not to win. I haven't thought about it yet. I'm just scrolling now, looking at the field real quick. I mean, you want probably a guy that's not an obvious, so not a qualifier, not a
You
scrub.
want me to go first?
Somebody like top 20, is that what, that's not going to win? Is that what you're thinking? Or
No,
like a top
as
20
close to the flying as close to the sun as possible.
like a top
So
10 player that's not going to win?
I want
go.
either
You go
I
ahead.
want either like a top 5 favorite to win, who's absolutely not going to win, or I want somebody who you think is going to finish really, really high but not win. Like the closer they get to winning and don't win, the better off. If they lose in a playoff, that's the ultimate victory for your pick. You ready for mine?
Yeah, go ahead.
This is really gonna we're gonna have to delete this if I'm wrong about this one. And I probably will be. But I'm going Scotty Scheffler.
Oh, wow.
Scotty Scheffler will not win the 2024 U.S. Open at
That is
Pinehurst.
bold. How come?
You heard it here first. Just because I think that I mean, hey, he might not win, and if he doesn't win, he's probably going to finish second. So there you go.
I love the logic.
He's not going to win.
50% chance he doesn't win. If he doesn't, there's
Probably.
40% chance he finishes second.
Dude, the betting odds right now say he has like a 40% chance to win or something like that. It's ridiculous.
I know. It's kind of crazy.
I mean, clearly he's not gonna.
Yeah, that's
This could be a rough. It could be a rough Monday morning for me when some people dig
when he
this
wins
up.
by freaking 10. Yeah. All right, let's see who I can
Scotty in record fashion.
I mean, if anybody's going to do it, it's going to be him. But my top 10 guy not to win, you got to go Patrick Cantlay. We haven't mentioned him yet, but he doesn't have the dog in him. He's I don't think what's his best major finish? Like a T7 or something? I can't ever remember him having a chance to win a major. So Patrick Cantlay's got a lot on his mind with the PGA Tour thing, the policy board there, and
I mean, that's a pretty easy pick, though. I mean, he's never contended in a major.
all right,
No one thinks he's gonna win.
All right, well,
Who's
Rory's
picking
not going to win either.
Okay.
Rory's not only not going to win this, he's never going to win another major ever. He's done.
Okay.
Four majors, he's done.
All right, guys. An hour and 12 minutes into the show. There you heard it. Parker Plays Golf said Rory's never going to win another major.
I've been saying that for a while. He's done.
Hey, he's like the only guy who is on 4 majors right now who really has a shot to get to 10. You just said he would never win another one. He's the only guy you could. He's the only guy in that position you could pick who could just really torch your take.
Scotty's getting just zooming past him soon. Scotty will get to 10. Wait, he's the only. I mean, I don't think Brooks has a chance. Scotty's the only guy in this era that has a chance to get to 10.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll see. Oh man, that Scotty pick could be bad. Okay. Who do you like to win?
I kind of like. I haven't mentioned him yet, but I kind of was looking at the field a minute ago. Kind of like Sam Burns. He's a phenomenal putter, good short game. He's a little crooked off the tee, but I don't think that, like we were talking about earlier, I don't think that matters that much. You can get some good lies, and the farther you're offline, you're going to be in the crowd, the pine straw. You got little trees to work with. No big deal. I like Sam Burns this week. He bombs it, and he's been playing pretty good, I think. So I like Sam Burns going a little outside the box, not a top 10 guy, not a Bryson. I obviously like Bryson. I'm rooting for Bryson, but also I'm on the Sam Burns train.
Okay. Did not see that coming. He was a guy who I kind of thought about bringing up, but then I was like, I don't really think anybody's picking him.
Yeah, I mean, a little outside the box.
But like I said, nobody's picking him.
I'm going with him.
Okay. So we got Sam Burns. I did not see that coming, and for that reason, I'm very happy I let you pick first because you didn't steal one of my people.
Yeah.
I really don't want to pick Bryson because I feel like that's the kiss of death for whoever I pick. But I'm going to stick with my theme. I think that my random tweet from back in April that I'll dig up soon if this guy wins, I'm going to keep the train rolling. I'm going to pick the right winner to the wrong tournament for all 4 majors this year. Viktor Hovland's going to win the U.S. Open.
Okay. I like that.
And finally,
he's a cool dude. Who's going to finish last?
I'm going to give you a low am, and it's just because I want to talk about him because he's cool. Neil Shipley.
That dude is cool.
I mean, who's cooler than him?
Not anybody. Not a lot.
Like, I'm not for having randos and like guys who aren't top 100 players. I'm very elitist when it comes to this. I want the best players, the best field possible, kick everybody else out. But if you're gonna let people in who may not win the tournament or who no one's heard of, I don't even like people I've never heard of. But This Neil Shipley guy, if you could find like 20 of him and you could somehow rig the qualifier to get him in, I'm all for it. Call it an open, get 20 of those guys. I mean, he's entertaining, he's cool. Had a really weird interview at the Masters. Yeah, not in an interview. It was just the moment where
the eye movement. He was just like, that was interesting. He's got the flow going on. He's he seems like a vibe. He's got a vibe.
There's nothing not to like about Neil Shipley. So
he was chatting up with Tiger too. It seemed like Tiger loved him.
Mm-hmm. I mean, this is a tournament where you can get somebody who's somewhat unexpected to contend, and I would love to see him.
That would be cool.
But yeah, now that we have we used up all of our positive energy here, let's end the show on a really positive note. Let's talk about who is going to finish last.
All right. Is Blocky in the field?
No.
I don't think he is.
No, he didn't qualify.
Do you have somebody in mind who's going to finish last?
I do have somebody in mind. Now, keep in mind, we did mention a lot of people who early in the show who we do not think have any kind of chance to win this. Do you want to pick from one of those?
No, I think it's got to be a new guy we haven't mentioned.
I put Robert Rock up there on a silver platter for you.
There's some guys that are going to be worse than him.
Okay, who you got?
Can we go with a qualifier, or is it who? What sort of
level?
Go
with anybody. Who's going to finish last?
Who's going to finish last?
Doesn't have to be anybody we've heard of. It's bonus points if it's someone we've heard of. We should make a game out of this with like points and everything. For those of you who made it, God bless you. If you made it this far into the show, please drop a comment. Let us know if we should make some sort of game out of our major picks with some kind of point system, dollar bills, whatever. You tell us and we'll do it.
Do it.
We love you.
I'm gonna call it a guy I played competitively with a few times. Chesson Hadley. He's gonna finish DF. He's pretty sure he's a qualifier. I was surprised to see him in this. He's a good ball striker, but he doesn't have a good short game. He's not a good putter comparatively to tour peers out there. So doesn't have any major record to speak of. He really bugged me last year when he said, "I'd like to be compensated too." Like for my loyalty to the PGA Tour. Liv didn't want anything to do with you, dude. I don't know what you were talking about. Like you had no chance to be for Liv, or PGA Tour is not going to compensate you. You're not a top dog, and you're going to finish DFL at the U.S. Open.
This is why I love you in these previews. That's like almost exactly what I would have said. But I'm gonna leave you with I'm gonna leave you with one comment about Chesson Hadley. Like
Finger snap.
no,
He's a little weird.
It's gonna be, you know how Pinehurst is. Let's just give everybody a picture of how this place is weather-wise this time of year. It is hot. It is humid. Everyone will be sweating. Everyone will be exhausted. There'll be some tops of heads that are burnt if certain guys decide not to wear hats. And there will not be a breath of wind. No moving air whatsoever. No. Having said that, I think there will still be enough wind that it might knock Chesson Hadley off balance.
Touché.
That was just for you people who stuck around this long in the show.
That's awesome. Oh, man.
Yeah, so I don't know. I got a toss up. So I got a guy who has a remote shot of winning. Somewhat, maybe not really at all. But it's a name that people have heard of, so I don't want to pick Robert Rock because I feel like that just doesn't give you style points, and I'm going for style points. I picked Scotty Scheffler not to win. I am going for style points.
All right, what we got?
I'm going to go with Tom Hoge, dead last.
Okay.
Do you want to know why?
Why?
Apparently his short game is like not very good. I don't really know much about the man's game, but I've just looked up like some of the bottom people today in strokes gained around the greens on the PGA Tour this year, and he is like bottom 10, and he's the only bottom 10 guy who's in the field this week. So there's probably a broader comment about like what parts of your game are important there, but yeah, Tom Hoge, short game, losing a lot of shots there.
Yeah. He seems like the type of guy to just like mail it into. He's playing bad. Like F this. I'm done with this.
Yeah, I mean,
when you're like poker table.
Well, I mean, and the real reason why I say that is like, hey man, he's obviously struggling a little bit around the greens compared to his competition. And what if he just pulls out a 60? I mean, that could be DFL right there. If this man starts pulling out 60s around the greens and he's one of the worst players on tour around the green, I'm very much apologize to the man. Like, obviously, he has a better short game than I do. Let's put this in perspective. But he's just my pick this week. Somebody's got to be my pick. Somebody's got to finish last.
Yeah.
I do like Chesson Hadley better. I love that pick. That's sexy. I love that pick.
Sorry, Chesson. Had to do it.
I mean, it's going to be like a British Open for him, all that wind out there. You have to crouch down pretty low to not be
he reminds me of the guy, the big inflatable balloons that when you drive by like a car dealership, the balloons flapping in the wind. I always think of him when I see those.
I just want to share one thing with the audience. I was driving back home after woke up at 5. Didn't get back home at 10 from the course this week. Drove out of town to play. And on the way home, I saw a hot air balloon, and it reminded me that is the number one thing that you will never see me do in life. I will not be caught dead in a hot air balloon.
No, I would never do that either.
Yeah, so if you hear of anything happening to me ever in a hot air balloon accident, you need to do some investigating.
You've been kidnapped.
Because there ain't nothing I'd do to get into one of those things. You couldn't. No amount of money you could pay me. Nope.
No, I'm out on that. I'm out on that too.
Nope, wouldn't take John Rahm live money for that.
That I would, but it does not sound enjoyable.
Depends on how high I'd have to go and how far. Get me up there about 30 feet. I think I can handle it. Anything above that, oh no. But anyway, Chesson, hot air balloon, Chesson Hadley.
It's been a good pod. Enjoy it.
Yeah, I've enjoyed it. Thank you to everybody for sticking around. We've enjoyed it. We had a great time. Uh, Join us for the next few and drop some comments below. Let me know how you think, how crazy you think we are.
Do it.
So, hey, enjoyed it. Peace.
Appreciate you having me. Peace.